Hey y'all, Critical Cracker here, and today's video is about loot boxes. AAA gaming companies have been practicing some shady business practices over these past 5 years or so. I'm looking at you, EA. Season passes, pre-order DLCs, microtransaction, and the more recent problem, loot boxes. As any gamer knows, EA is guilty of all these practices.
It's time to stop! It's time to stop, okay? No more! Where the fuck are your parents? Who are your parents? I'm gonna call Child Protective Services. It's time to stop!
Now, loot boxes aren't new, they've been around for a while. No, my problem with loot boxes is that it's hiding a good chunk of a game's content behind a paywall. Let's be honest with ourselves here for a minute. You're gambling with your money, whether you pay either with real money or some form of in-game credits. It's that simple. Video games such as Overwatch, Counter-Strike, Middle-earth, Shadow of War, and more recently, Star Wars Battlefront 2 use said loot boxes. It's pay to win in its most purest form. There is an argument to be made about banning such practices as to help stop kids and young adults from developing a gambling addiction. The loot box epidemic has gotten so explosive that even some European countries like Belgium want to ban loot boxes entirely. Not to be outdone, the US state of Hawaii leads a US coalition of states to ban or at least limit loot boxes. I may make a video about that at some point. So, let's use Middle-earth, Shadow of War, and Battlefront 2 as prime examples of shitty loot box practices. Minor spoilers ahead. In the second act of Shadow of War, you get to conquer fortresses and command orcs to fight for you in huge siege battles. All of the orcs have special abilities and come in 5 layers of rarity: common, uncommon, rare, epic, and wait for it,
Legend? Wait for it. Dairy. Legendary.
The better the rarity, the better the stats and abilities. They also added an online component so you can lay siege to your buddy's fortress or total strangers. Sounds cool, right? Except the legendary orcs and other items and skills are locked behind gold crates, in which you have to use real world money in order to buy them. The only crates that you can use with in-game currency are the silver crates, and the DRM on them is whack. So getting those legendary orcs and items are a lot lower than the gold crates, was my experience at least. Or I just have shitty luck. For a broke gamer, like myself, you could grind for hours using the Nemesis system to get that special orc with just the right amount of crazy. Remember that online component I mentioned earlier? Well, what if a player paid a lot of money to get the gold loot boxes to nab the best legendary orcs, gear, skills, and items, then decides to attack someone's fortress who couldn't afford said loot boxes? That doesn't seem fair, does it? No, it doesn't. If you've been following gaming news, then you would know the huge backlash that Electronic Arts have received over Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2's core design is centered around loot boxes. Here's an example. In Battlefront 2, there are multiple classes, and each class can unlock an ability or weapons card, but each card is locked behind crafting parts. You can play matches to sometimes unlock said crafting parts, or you can open loot boxes, get some crafting parts, and some cards.
There we go. See what I get?
Surprise, motherfucker!
The very first crate.
The fastest way to unlock said cards, though, is to shell out real money. It's pay to win. The more money you spend, the better cards you get. But due to the backlash, EA disabled people from buying loot boxes with real money. So now the core of the game is just broken. Now, I'm not saying people shouldn't spend their money on what they want. All I'm saying is that this is a balancing issue. Pay to win is a shitty model for any game. I prefer earning in-game items by playing the goddamn game. Early Call of Duty games are good example of this. By playing the game, the player slowly unlocks items, attachments, perks, and in some cases, cool weapon skins. I'll be starting a series going into these topics such as pre-orders, season passes, and microtransactions. Tune in next time.